The Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire in jeopardy as both sides are accusing each other of breaching the deal. This after Israel conducted an airstrike yesterday that it says targeted militants at a rocket storage facility who were violating terms of the deal. It was Israel's first strike on Lebanon since the ceasefire went into effect Wednesday morning. Joining us now here on set, military intelligence analyst and author of Putin's Playbook, Russia's Secret Plan to Defeat America, Rebekah Koffler. Rebekah, we're going to talk obviously about Russia and Ukraine, but first, I do want to get your take on what you're seeing happening over in the Middle East right now.
Well, Benjamin Netanyahu is pretty much enforcing the violations of the ceasefire. He has said several times that Israel has the right for self-defense and it needs to eliminate what is an existential threat for them. And that's what the Israeli Defense Forces are doing. The momentum on the battlefield is such that Israel is in a good position to continue weakening the combat potential of the Iranian proxies, and he's just trying to achieve peace. That's what he's doing.
Okay, so you're not worried about, I mean, the ceasefire, do you think the ceasefire is going to hold, or?
Well, if Israel keeps enforcing it, eventually they're going to get the message. Hezbollah is going to get the message. Israel previously has sent a super strong message to Hezbollah by deploying a super duper capability. Remember the exploding pages? So eventually the adversary gets the strategic signaling and peace will come.
Okay, so first Hezbollah, and then maybe next is Gaza. Let's talk about Russia. So Russian President Vladimir Putin is warning government buildings in Kyiv could be targeted next using this new hypersonic missile that could also potentially reach the United States. This after Moscow launched another massive attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. That was just yesterday. There was 200 missiles and drones thrown. Putin also praising President-elect Donald Trump as a, quote, intelligent and experienced politician capable of finding solutions for the war in Ukraine. What do you make of these statements that we're getting from Putin right now?
Sure. So what Putin is doing, he is escalating vertically and horizontally. Laterally. Here's what I mean by that. The Russian warfighting strategy is relying on what is called escalate to de-escalate approach. Putin is ratcheting up to put pressure on the Biden administration to de-escalate. This hypersonic missile is a grave threat because, as you said correctly, it can reach the entire Europe and the west coast of the United States. Moreover, we do not have currently the capability to intercept it because it flies at hypersonic speed. Yeah. Even worse, this missile can be dual capable. It can carry a conventional, meaning non-nuclear payload, and it can carry also a nuclear warhead, which also means it's very difficult for our systems to discriminate which one it is. And that is designed on purpose. Putin wants to create the fog of war, right? If and when, and the Russian General Staff actually concluded several years ago that it is only a matter of time before Russia and the U.S. will be in a direct kinetic confrontation. So in peacetime, the Russians let us know through the new arms control channels that that missile is targeting Ukraine so that we do not overreact. Putin does not want nuclear war, but he's prepared to go. In wartime, such notification will not happen. And this is what he means when he says Trump is an intelligent man. Putin just strategic signaled to Biden and to the Trump administration what his capabilities are, that he's in a strong position, and he's letting us make the decision whether we're going to escalate, continue climbing the escalation ladder, or whether we're going to
continue defending Ukraine. And that's, you know, I want to get Michael in here, but that was my question was, you know, does these recent moves by Biden actually hurt President-elect Trump when he comes into office? Because if he does, and I'm sure he does want to de-escalate, he wants to end it, and he said that on the campaign trail. How do you do that when Biden made the armament decisions? Michael, go ahead.
Not only has he put him in a bad position, but Rebekah, when you take a look at Europe's role in the war in Ukraine, it's got to strike a lot of Americans as crazy that the United States continues to be the lead player in a conflict that's in Europe. And we know that ever since the United States came ashore in World War II, the United States has had a dominant position in any military capabilities in Europe. What is now the message to Europe that Putin and the U.S. might come to an agreement that now ceases any type of hostilities? What is that message? What's the message to Europe as to what they need to do for their own defense?
The message has always been, and President Trump actually did enforce that message during his first term, and that is pay for your own security. I personally briefed NATO in the run-up to Putin's invasion of Crimea. Back in 2013, I laid out at the classified level what Putin's plans were and what Russia's warfighting strategy was. No one wanted to chip in for their own security and actually develop a deterrence posture. And it's mind-boggling, right? So instead, what is happening right now, they effectively are throwing Ukraine as a human shield to protect the Europeans.
Wow.
Right now, 500,000 of Ukrainian men, and these are young, young boys, right, are either dead or wounded, and between Russians and Ukrainians, it's 1 million. And President Biden actually, just the other day, is putting pressure on Zelensky to lower the conscription age because they are running out of men to throw into Putin's meat grinder, right? Ukraine is desperately outmanned and outgunned. And Biden wants them to lower the conscription rate to 18. These are young European boys.
Wow. That is so much pressure on Zelensky, who we do know has reached out and had conversations already with President-elect Trump. But we still have President Biden until January 20th in the middle of, well, 2 wars and a potential third. Real quick, I want to get to this op-ed that you wrote for Fox News Digital, Rebecca. Here's the title of it: Truth, Freedom, Common Sense. What I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving Day as a Russian immigrant to the United States. And here's part of what you wrote I thought was so interesting. Over the last several years, America had become a country of censorship, a country where the ruling class has been treating working people as second-class citizens, calling them names, a country with 2 separate justice systems, one for the governing and a different one for the governed. Today, I'm grateful that my fellow Americans have decided enough is enough.
Well, I was born and raised in Soviet Russia, and what we had over there is, total government control, and still is actually. Russia, nothing has changed really. Putin is a dictator, so there were 2 classes of people. There was the Communist Party, and then there were the rest of us. They shopped at different shops. They were treated at different hospitals, while the rest of us, our teeth were drilled without Novocaine. Okay, imagine that. It is torture. And that is because during the when it's socialism, when everything is free, then nothing is available. It doesn't just come from trees, right? Then there's a small supply, and then the people who are in charge, they, dole out whatever that is that they're in charge of, whether it is groceries or whether it is Novocaine, they dole it out to their own family, okay? And for the past several years in America, I felt like I was having a flashback, because what Kamala Harris wanted to do, she wanted to control prices. That is socialism. And then all this censorship, right? The conservative voices were being silenced. The religious voices. This is what the Soviets did. They outlawed religion, right? We didn't have Christmas. We were not allowed to go to church. And so, thank goodness Americans said enough is enough. We cannot have the Biden-Harris, team where there's a dual justice. Look at how they went after Trump. They went with the deep state, with the viciousness that Putin goes after his opponents. They threw impeachments at him, the Russia collusion, which, by the way, I disclosed in this book. That's why DIA
Maria's talked about that a lot.
Yeah, tried to sabotage the publication of this book. These tactics are Soviet KGB-style tactics, and I am so grateful that we are again going to live in a country of freedom and justice. Thank goodness.
Well, hopefully the Ukrainians can maintain their freedom. Thank you, Rebekah Koffler. So great to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Likewise, Cheryl.
All right.
Such a pleasure. And you gentlemen, very nice to meet you too.
All right.